In 2065, Earth is in the middle of a war with extra-dimensional aliens called Nova. The military develops and trains Pandoras girls who are able to use special genetic tissue called stigmata to manifest superhuman fighting skills and weapons. Supporting the Pandoras are male partners called limiters, who use special freezing powers to limit their opponent's mobility. In a battle royale to determine the rankings of second-year Pandoras, Satellizer, also known as the Untouchable Queen, is the strongest ranked Pandora. During class, teacher Yumi Kim talks about her experiences as Pandora during the last war against the Nova, in which one battle against a powerful Nova was ultimately won thanks to the sacrifice of her squadmate Kazuya. Meanwhile, Kazuya's brother Kazuya is transported to West Genetics Academy by student president Chiffon Fairchild and is given a rundown about the nature of Pandoras and limiters. Kazuya arrives while Satellizer is in a battle against the second-ranked Pandora, Ganesa Roland, but Kazuya mistakes her for his late sister and hugs her, provoking an embarrassing reaction from her and leaves her open to attack. Because of Kazuya's interference, Satellizer lost the battle against Ganesa, whom now moves up to the #1 rank among all second years. As such, Kazuya wants to apologize to Satellizer, but Chiffon advises him against it due to Satellizer's fear of being touched and her lashing out on anyone who does. Soon, Satellizer arrives and Kazuya still tries to apologize. Despite Kazuya holding her arm, Satellizer does nothing but tell him to leave her alone. Just then, a gloating Ganesa arrives and insults her, which starts a fight between the two despite Chiffon's warnings. When Satellizer manages to knock her down, Ganesa goes into Pandora mode, proceeding to beat Satellizer. Kazuya then tries to stop the fight, but Ganesa slaps him away, causing Satellizer to go into Pandora mode as well, where she defeats Ganesa. Kim and Medical Officer Ellis stop the fight, and they punish both girls by putting them in the brig. After getting to know the headmistress, Sister Margaret, and his dorm neighbor, Arthur Clipton, Ganesa's limiter, Kazuya still wants to apologize properly to Satellizer. Meanwhile, a Pandora named Miyabi takes an interest in Kazuya and wants to make him her newest limiter. After introducing himself to his class and having lunch with the class representative Kaho, Kazuya sees Satellizer and decides to finally apologize to her properly. He finds her on the rooftop, and through their conversations, he's glad to find that she's actually a shy and nice person. Meanwhile, both Arthur and Kaho are shocked to find that Kazuya can talk to her normally. However, third-year Miyabi and her 3 limiters arrive. Miyabi then offers Kazuya to be her limiter, but when he rejects, she threatens Kazuya, which prompts Satellizer to raise her weapon against Miyabi. After taking a strike to her face, which angers her, Miyabi orders her limiters to freeze both Kazuya and Satellizer to beat them. As Miyabi and her limiters humiliate and harass Satellizer, Kazuya activates his freezing powers to stop them. By that time, Kim, Elise, and Chiffon arrive to stop the fight. Unfortunately, Satellizer has brutally clapped Miyabi, so her limiters are about to deliver a deadly blow, but Kazuya pleads with her to stop, which she does. As Kim and Elise learn the secrets of Kazuya's abilities, Chiffon warns him again to stay away from Satellizer because she's now the target of the other third years who do not take lightly to those who disrespect the Academy's hierarchy. After spending a week in solitary confinement for her actions, Satellizer faces Ingrid Bernstein, a third year who challenges her to a duel to punish her for going against the third years and also tells her to find a limiter. Upon hearing about the ordeal, Kazuya asks Satellizer to let him be her partner, but she again refuses. Afterwards, Satellizer attacks Ingrid before their match, but Ingrid is already well prepared and gets the upper hand. When her limiter Leo arrives, Ingrid gives Satellizer one more chance to find a limiter, for which Kazuya volunteers despite being warned of the consequences by Ingrid. Thanks to his powerful freezing ability, Satellizer is able to knock down both Leo and Ingrid, but hellbent on punishing Satellizer, Ingrid refuses to give up and goes into Pandora mode, leaving Kazuya confused as to why Ingrid takes hierarchy discipline so seriously. Ganesa then reveals to Kazuya that a year ago, during an outdoor training session, Ingrid's best friend died when she fought a Nova alone, and she believes Marin would have survived had the younger students not run away due to lack of discipline in their ranks. Hearing this, Kazuya freezes Ingrid and tells her that he understands her pain just like when he lost his sister. He tells her that her actions are tainting her late friend's memories, and that Marin did not die in vain as she was actually sacrificing her life to protect the younger students. With Ganesa confirming it as well, Ingrid realizes this is not what Marin wanted and breaks down in tears. Eventually, Satellizer finally accepts Kazuya as her limiter, as she does not feel uncomfortable when he touches her, and he can also do freezing without performing a baptism. Arthur and Kaho are shocked by this development, and even more so when they learn Satellizer has invited Kazuya into her room tonight. Meanwhile, a new student named Rana arrives at West Genetics. As Kazuya, Arthur, and Kaho head to the girls' dormitory, they are confronted by second-year Pandoras, whom all lost to Satellizer at the Battle Royale and want to take out on Kazuya, but they punish Arthur and Kaho as well for interfering in the process. In anger, Kazuya activates his freezing powers but soon loses consciousness as Rana arrives to rescue them and she defeats the second-year Pandoras. Informed on what just happened, Satellizer visits the hospitalized Kazuya. As she has a chat with Arthur and a hospitalized Kaho, Rana believes Kazuya is her chosen limit, but Arthur and Kaho advise her not to as Kazuya is Satellizer's limiter. The next day, Rana enrolls into Satellizer's class and defeats Ganesa during a practice bout. Despite being warned, Rana still makes her move on Kazuya, hoping to make him her partner much to Satellizer's jealousy. Arthur and Kaho continue to warn Kazuya not to be with Satellizer after telling him how she was expelled from East Genetics for injuring a potential limiter. Later, Attia tells Rana that Satellizer has not performed at baptism with Kazuya, and that she is only using him for his freezing powers, which causes Rana to bring Satellizer to a training facility where she challenges her over being Kazuya's partner. After a brutal fight, Kazuya intervenes to clarify to Rana about his relationship with Satellizer, but Axia, along with two other third-year Pandoras, Arnett and Creo, arrive. Please leave some love if you watched this far. After Kazuya is knocked unconscious, Satellizer starts fighting against Arnett, while Rana, who seeks revenge for being used, goes against Cleo. Arnett manages to use her double axle technique to take advantage of Satellizer, while Rana is similarly overwhelmed by Cleo's Tempest turn. As she tries to remain conscious while the third years argue on what to do with her, Satellizer recalls when she and her mother were brought into the Bridget household. Because her mother was her father's mistress, Satellizer was treated harshly by her younger half-brother Louis, who abused her, and she was forced to bear it for her mother's sake until her older half-sister Violet learned about it and put a stop to it all. On her deathbed, Satellizer's mother apologizes to her for what she had gone through, and she encouraged her to never lose to anyone. Remembering those words, Satellizer stands up and defeats Arnett with a triple axle technique, while Rana uses Cleo's Tempest turn together with her fighting style to defeat Cleo. However, all four girls refuse to give up, but the fight is stopped when Chiffon and Tissy arrive, ordering the third years to stand down after Chiffon quickly subdues Arnett. As Satellizer and Rana bring Kazuya to the hospital, Chiffon meets with Elizabeth at the swimming pool and tells her to stop targeting Satellizer as it's useless, and their peaceful days are about to be over soon. Nevertheless, the West Genetics Academy decides to hold a prom where Satellizer and Rana cross eyes over who will be Kazuya's dancing partner, where he ends up choosing Satellizer. Meanwhile, Elizabeth decides to take Chiffon's advice and tells the third years to stop targeting Satellizer, but Attia still wants to get back at her. On the night of the prom, Attia challenges Satellizer to compete in the Pandora Queen Beauty Contest, which Satellizer agrees to out of pride. When she's about to go on stage, Satellizer becomes nervous, but Rana, who is also competing, encourages her to withstand it for the sake of her partner. Despite being shy on stage, her timidness appeases the crowd and she wins the crown. Angry about her loss, Attia arranges for Satellizer to wear an outfit which becomes transparent under the spotlight, but Kazuya freezes the crowd so they can escape. Later, Kazuya is invited to East Genetics Academy to meet the #1 ranked third-year Pandora, Kathy, who possesses stigmata from his late sister, Kazuha. Despite her potential, she explains she plans to become a novelist instead, but staying around to graduate. As Kazuya returns home, Sister Margaret reveals that Satellizer also possesses 6 of Kazuha's stigmata, but showed little compatibility with them. Kathy then reveals to her teacher, Melina, that the reason she doesn't want to join the Chevalier, the Pandora elite, was because she was there when Satellizer attacked the Playboy limiter when she was still a student at East Genetics, and Satellizer's resolve to never give up no matter how many times Kathy put her down made her scared and made her realize how weak she really was. Just then, East Genetics is attacked by a Fort-type S Nova who exhibit abilities that have never been seen before. The Nova overwhelmed the students, but it then absorbs some of the Pandoras, including Kathy and Melina. Meanwhile, Satellizer overhears Kazuya talking with Arthur and Kaho, believing that Kazuya only chose her because she reminded him of his sister. Anyways, West Genetics Academy is soon attacked and surrounded by the Nova as well, with the 4th years deployed to East Genetics and too far away to help them. Kim and Elise lead the remaining 4th years to the front lines while the rest of West Genetics Pandoras and Limiters are ordered to guard the Academy. However, the Novas soon release a bunch of Nova forms, Pandoras they absorbed earlier at East Genetics, who are now under their control. Meanwhile, Satellizer is angry that Kazuya sees her only as a replacement for his sister, and he's about to engage in a fight with Rana, but they are called by Sister Margaret to defend the underground Ravensbourne Nucleochi facility, which holds the body of Maria Lancelot, the first of the Mother of Pandoras. Suddenly, a small group of Nova forms led by Kathy and Melina breach the underground facility. As the Nova forms head towards the Ravensbourne, a group is sent to stop them. However, Kathy and Melina manage to evade them, only for them to encounter Elizabeth and her limiter. But Elizabeth learns the Nova form's weak point is the Nova stigma between their collarbones, which will release them from Nova control. However, Kathy breaks into the lower levels where Satellizer and the others are. After defeating Rana and Ganesa, Cassie goes after Satellizer, who refuses Kazuya's help, where the two both get into a fierce battle using all of their special techniques. As Kathy prepares a finishing blow to Satellizer, Kazuya summons up all of his freezing abilities to stop Kathy, and he tells Satellizer how important she is to him, which allows her to realize how much Kazuya really cares about being her partner. Kathy then breaks free of Kazuya's freezing and temporarily begs Satellizer to stop her before her Nova stigma takes control again. Meanwhile, Melina defeats Elizabeth and finally arrives at the facility where Maria's body is being held. Fortunately, Melina is stopped by Chiffon and Tessie from approaching Maria's body. Meanwhile, Kathy shoots an energy beam at Satellizer, but Ganesa sacrifices herself to shield her. Traumatized from Ganesa's death, who considers Satellizer her comrade, Satellizer goes berserk and turns into Nova form, where she brutally beats Kathy. Now free from Nova control, Kathy begs Satellizer to destroy her, but she's stopped by Kazuya, who manages to hold her back and calm her, which turns her back to normal. With Ganesa somehow revealed to have survived and Melina defeated, the Pandoras believe it's over, but the last remaining Nova uses Melina's stigma as a beacon to teleport into the Ravensbourne, forcing the remaining group to fight it. However, the Nova uses Kathy's infected stigma to infect Satellizer into a Nova form, and they use her to cast a powerful freezing ability to stop the Pandoras as it goes after Maria's body. Hearing her cries for help, Kazuya activates his freezing on Satellizer, and thanks to Kazuya's spirit, she breaks free of the Nova's control and stops freezing, which finally allows the Pandoras to finish off the Nova. After recovering and returning to East Genetics, Kathy, influenced by both Kazuya and Satellizer's ideals, tells Melina that she decided to join the Chevalier while still being a novelist. With her change of personality, the other Pandoras comment how much Satellizer has changed thanks to Kazuya. In the end, Sister Margaret has a talk with the Professor over the stigmata as a double-edged sword, but he warns the fight with the Nova is far from over.